Welcome to the FeelAndNote Library Tour. Today's guest is Alex Karp.
Those who cravenly hide from the fierce debates of their time end up trampling the very spark within themselves that might have shaken the world.
Alex Karp, an American entrepreneur, co-founder, and CEO of Palantir Technologies. With a big data analytics platform serving U.S. intelligence agencies and the military as its primary clients, he has earned the title of Silicon Valley's Maverick.
I am Alex Karp. Change the world through dialogue? How naive. No matter how much we talk, humanity's innate aggression never goes away. Reasoned debate is useless against an incoming missile. I too once dreamed of utopia, but I left that illusion behind long ago in a dusty German lecture hall, along with my doctoral advisor, Habermas. While Silicon Valley was polishing app screens and parading its hypocrisy, I built a weapon that cuts through the fog of war. The pacifists gasp, calling it the devil's crystal ball. Stare into the darkness and it swallows you? Thanks for the lesson. But having to stare into the abyss while dreading it might swallow you, that is reality. The clash of civilizations has already begun. And civilization is not preserved by shallow tolerance, but by the overwhelming organization of violence. Yes, how grotesque a creature, a philosopher preaching violence. Believe me, I know. But someone has to step up. I will face reality head-on. I will gladly be the monster on our side.
The Theory of Communicative Action, Jürgen Habermas, 1981. Summary.
A philosophical work that digs into why modern society grows more suffocating and sicker with each passing day. Its author, Habermas, warns against the colossal system of money and power. He diagnoses this cold apparatus as ruthlessly devouring the warm, human fabric of everyday life. His alternative is free and unconstrained dialogue. Only communication and mutual understanding, he argues, can hold back violent control and safeguard society.
Context. Karp had already completed degrees in philosophy and law in America, yet drawn by Habermas's ideas, he crossed the Atlantic to Goethe University in Germany. For years he attended seminars, chewing over the philosopher's thought. He wanted to believe in that world too. But the deeper he dug into human dialogue, the more he found that what lurked beneath reason was not consensus, but aggressive impulse. When Karp put that discovery into a dissertation draft and submitted it, Habermas refused to supervise. In the end, Karp turned to Carola Brady, a sociologist in the Freudian psychoanalytic tradition. She was a scholar of the unconscious and impulse. The title of the dissertation he completed under her was Aggression in the Life World. His analysis held that aggressive impulses, unresolvable through rational dialogue, actually function within society. Habermas believed in dialogue, but the disciple chose to stare violence in the face. Faust, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, 1808. Summary.
The pinnacle of German literature, forged over 60 years by Goethe, the scholar Faust, consumed by an insatiable hunger for knowledge, strikes a bargain with the devil, Mephistopheles. He then pursues worldly pleasure and power. It is an epic exploring the limits of human desire, redemption, and knowledge.
Context. Karp's love for German culture endured long after his years in Germany. A legendary anecdote in Silicon Valley captures his eccentric nature. It happened in front of a visitor who came to Karp's Palo Alto headquarters one day. Mid-conversation, Karp abruptly launched into a Tai Chi demonstration and knocked the visitor to the floor. After offering an apology, Karp slipped away as if to break the awkward tension, then returned moments later. In his hand was a printout of Faust in the original German, the text he considered the most beautiful in existence. Declaring that the English translation could not capture its depth, he began reading the German verse aloud at the top of his voice. Perhaps it was his own peculiar way of making amends, sharing something magnificent in place of an apology. But why Faust of all things? A man who could not reach the truth from the seat of scholarship, driven at last to strike a bargain with darkness? Perhaps Karp read himself in this play. The Clash of Civilizations, Samuel P. Huntington, 1996. Summary.
A provocative work of international politics, arguing that after the Cold War, the axis of global conflict shifted from ideology to civilization. Huntington predicted that clashes would erupt along the fault lines between Western, Islamic, and Confucian civilizations. And he wrote this: "The West won the world not through superior ideas, but by organizing violence better. Westerners often forget this fact. Non-Westerners never do."
Context. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell, and the world raised its glasses. The Great Wars were over. But Huntington saw the exact opposite. Future wars would erupt not between ideologies, but between religions and civilizations. In 2001, 2 planes struck the Twin Towers in New York, killing 3,000 people. Huntington's warning had become reality. In response, Karp co-founded Palantir with Peter Thiel. Iraq, Afghanistan, Ukraine, Gaza. Palantir's data technology was deployed on every one of those battlefields. Then, in 2025, Karp directly quoted Huntington's very sentence in his shareholder letter.
The West won the world not by the superiority of its ideas or values or religion, but rather by its superiority in applying organized violence.
If the West won by force rather than ideas, the moment that force falters, everything unravels. This is no time to build games or social apps. If civilizations clash, our side must see better.
The Closing of the American Mind, Allan Bloom, 1987. Summary.
A diagnosis of the crisis in American higher education by University of Chicago professor Allan Bloom. His argument runs as follows. Universities began teaching that all cultures are equal, that nothing is absolutely right or wrong. It sounds open-minded on the surface, yet when right and wrong are no longer debated, students lose the capacity for judgment. When neither Plato nor Shakespeare is read, no one asks what a good life looks like. What remains are people for whom the only measure is personal gain. When such people become citizens, democracy is left an empty shell. That is Bloom's warning.
Context. 2 years after Bloom's book shook the American university system in 1987, Karp entered Stanford Law School. It was ground zero of the culture war Bloom had diagnosed. Karp, who called himself a socialist, and Peter Thiel, a radical libertarian, met there. Their leanings were polar opposites, yet their disillusionment with the intellectual decay of the university was a perfect match, and the two would later unite at Palantir. 30 years on, in 2025, Karp himself published a book called The Technological Republic, summoning Bloom's warning into Silicon Valley. It contains a chapter titled The Hollowing of the American Mind, borrowing Bloom's idea directly. Hollowing describes a state where the surface looks intact, but the inside has been emptied out. That, he diagnosed, is exactly the state of the American mind. Under the banner of inclusion and tolerance, the tech elite dodge questions of national survival. They are people who are not even certain what they believe, and who may not possess genuine conviction at all.
We hope that the most virtuous and pious will also possess the ambition to pursue power. But history tells us the opposite is far more common.
In 2018, the Pentagon asked Google to join Project Maven, a military AI program. Thousands of Google engineers launched a petition drive and refused. Buckling under pressure, Google withdrew entirely from the defense contract. The very hollowing of the mind that Bloom had warned about was playing out in the heart of Silicon Valley. Karp branded this retreat an act of betrayal against the nation. And then the man who once dreamed of solving the world through dialogue, who called himself a socialist, ended up taking on the Maven contracts Google had dropped. It looks like a contradiction, but he states it plainly. The only soil in which his ideals of welfare, equality, and human rights can be debated is Western democracy. If totalitarian states like China or Russia seize technological hegemony, those discussions become entirely impossible. The Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien, 1954. Summary.
An epic in which the hobbit Frodo sets out to destroy the One Ring and thwart the Dark Lord Sauron. Within this world appears the Palantir, a seeing stone, a magical crystal that peers across vast distances and lays bare what is hidden. But Tolkien warns, use it recklessly, and you will be consumed by darkness. The seeing stone is a double-edged sword.
Context. Yet as Palantir filled Google's void and stood at the summit of military technology, a puzzling question lingered. How did a philosophy PhD, who could not write a single line of code, end up at the helm of Palantir? The answer lies in the company's core technology. Its name is ontology, a philosophical concept that examines what exists in the world and how things are connected, applied directly to software. People, transactions, call records, locations, threats. The platform weaves scattered data into a single web. The philosopher did not write code. He designed the structure of a seeing stone for reading the world. The company's very concepts resonate with the universe of that seeing stone. Feel borrowed Palantir from Tolkien's world, meaning a stone that sees from afar. The Palo Alto office is called the Shire, after the Hobbit's homeland, and the Virginia branch is named Rivendell, the elven sanctuary. In fact, hobbits in the novel are a peaceful folk far removed from war, little people who wander fields and drink ale, oblivious to the darkness beyond. Karp tells his employees again and again, the reason we build these weapons is to protect those very peaceful people.
Our mission is to save the Shire.
Yet, in Tolkien's original, the Seeing Stone is not merely a beautiful tool. The wizard Saruman gazed into the Palantir and was consumed by the Dark Lord Sauron. The more he sought to see, the deeper he fell. The same shadow looms over the real-world Palantir. American police used the system to pry into citizens' data without warrants, and immigration enforcement tracked deportation targets' movements in real time. Karp himself says he is aware of the danger. He has drawn a line, contracts only with Western democracies. But whether that line is truly enough, no one can yet say with certainty. The eccentric philosophy student who once clutched a rejection letter and murmured German verse now holds America's defense data infrastructure in his grasp. The seeing stone Karp has forged lifts the fog of the battlefield, yet one day it could swallow us all in the darkness of surveillance. Who will control this colossal eye, and how? No one has answered that question yet. Those were the 5 books that shaped Alex Karp's mind. The philosophy student who clutched a rejection letter became the master of a seeing stone on the battlefields of civilizational clash. A maverick who built the technology of war from the philosophy of dialogue. Curious to learn more of his story? Discover it now on FeelAndNote.